everybody. So up next is Unlucky token, another HTS token on Hedera Hashgraph. And I have the pleasure, I don't know yet, of being with Unlucky, a representative from Unlucky who wants to remain anonymous. And I will be asking why, and I'm sure they're going to explain that in a moment. Just setting my stall out and being honest, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with people wanting to remain anonymous for the obvious reasons, but also because, which for me, Web3, one of the core principles of Web3 is trying to move away from large, faceless corporations. And it seems to me like we might be replacing these large faceless corporations with thousands and thousands of little faceless corporations. But maybe I'm wrong. And maybe there's good reason for this. So welcome very much, and thank you very much for your time, Unlucky. First of all, can you tell us a little bit about the project? What is Unlucky?
Hi, Max. Thanks for the opportunity. Unlucky is a meme coin and NFT project. It started out actually as a dare. A group of us was having a few drinks, and it was actually on Friday the 13th, last October. We were just talking about the misfortune, because a bunch of guys were into crypto and all that, and we're talking about degens and broken, shattered dreams and whatever else. And then the topic came up about just things not working out right. If you've been in crypto long enough, the roller coaster is pretty pretty wild. So I was literally there into starting this project, and over a few drinks, and that's how it started. The story morphed a little bit from the initial discussion over the drinks. And it turned out that because half of the people that I was having drinks with don't even know about HTS or the Hedera at all. I'm probably the only one in that group that is pro Hedera. But the opportunity came when I was actually, if you remember back last year, HTS or especially meme coins, Hedera was having a really rough time. Not so much because the price was going down, but because of the endless rug that were in the ecosystem. And being a Hederian for I think I bought my first H bar at the end of 2020 there, and being in the ecosystem and seeing all this rug, all this pump and dump. This is what basically gave me the inspiration to start Unlucky and to pick the storyline, to go down the route of taking on the status quo, the gatekeepers, and pointing the fingers at all these ruggers, pump and dumpers. And this is probably, this is not probably, but it is the reason why I want to be anonymous, because the subject matter that I'm digging into with the project itself, even though it's more or less the fun side of things, and onboarding some, which we can talk about a bit later, onboarding some interesting artists onto Hedera. But the core of it, or how it all started, was basically calling out all the ruggers, all the pump and dumpers. There is a small group in the meme point, Hedera meme point, where they basically just their own coins, get new users in, and then dump on them. And it gets to the point where I just had enough of it, and I just have to do something, and hence Unlucky was born.
Okay, so I think that's a really endearing proposition for Unlucky, because but I've got a couple of questions around that. The first one being, so Unlucky then is not people who've given up on life, or because when I first came across this project, I think I got a little bit irritated. I was like, we shouldn't be celebrating losing, and we shouldn't be celebrating losers. And here's a group of, or
Yes.
an individual, or whatever, a loser who wants to celebrate, unluckiness. And actually, that's not what this is about. This is actually, you're more, if anything, you're more like a vigilante group that's had enough of the communities in cryptocurrency and Hedera and many others being mistreated by influencers and other types that create these projects solely for the purpose of people putting money in so they can take that money and then run off. But
That's,
is that what it is?
yeah. Unlucky is actually not a pessimistic character. He basically, the premise of Unlucky is that he dares you to stick your middle finger up to all your misfortune, all your bad luck. So it's actually a play on, even though it's unlucky, but it's actually, he's got a very positive, optimistic tone. Yeah, so
Resilient.
it's actually
So
not
yeah,
about
it's celebrating resilience and it's
exactly.
celebrating
So
strength in the face
it's
of
your
adversity.
resilience that makes you stronger, and
Perfect.
that's what Unlucky is all about, and that's what we encourage people to look. Nothing is rosy all the time. You will have bad times, but how you deal with the bad times is basically what the Unlucky message is all about. And if you've been following us on Twitters, or even if you've associated your wallet, every day we drop a quote that celebrates not your misfortune, but how you recover from it and how you deal with things.
Okay.
And the one with Unlucky is it's like, even from day one when the project was started, things never go according to plan, but we stuck at it. And you know what? At the end of the day, everything actually worked out better than fine. And that's what the project is all about.
Okay, so with that in mind, then the elephant in the room, the obvious question is that if I was setting out, and I do applaud your mission and your reason for being, because I'm a big advocate of honesty and not setting back the industry and not taking advantage of the vulnerable, obviously. But you would think then that your default would be absolute transparency in order to help people, give people the confidence to believe in you as a project, and so that they're reassured that you're not going to be a rug and you're not going to be a scam. Now, I'm not suggesting for a moment that is what you are at all. I've had no indication of that whatsoever. But I think it would be helpful if you could explain why you and anyone else in the project has decided to remain anonymous, given that a whole part of your ethos and the whole reason for being, as you've said, is to fly in the face of all of these people that have been scammers and have run off. So
Yeah.
Can you see the contradiction there, or do you disagree?
Yeah, no, I see the contradiction, but what you're lacking there is actually how the project is set up. We're actually the most transparent project you probably will ever come across, from the way how the funding was done to how the tokens were distributed. Everything is recorded, and the money raised from the token sale, we actually locked half of it in a 13 years LP. So there were measures from the beginning for the project. It can't harm the holders and it can't harm the project. So all the liquidity is locked for 13 years, which is unheard of in a meme coin. Especially, I think we locked up 70,000 HBAR in the LP for 13 years, and that has never been done before. Even for utility HTS, nobody has done this before. The other half of the fundraise is actually still in treasury, and we've actually been using that fund to develop the NFTs and also to airdrop it back to the users. Now, I actually fund the project out of my own pocket. I took a small allocation of 500 million tokens, which I have not sold, and I actually bought more and put part of it into the LP as well. Now, I pay for my advisors out of my pocket. Now, my advisors didn't get any tokens. So from day one, we structured the project in a way where the project can't dump tokens on holders, because one, the project itself don't actually hold much unlucky tokens because the fundraise were in HBAR, so our treasury is in HBAR. What else? Yep. So because there's no team allocations, and the advisors actually, when they bought the token, they actually the same price as everyone else. So even myself, I actually bought part of my allocation at the same price as everyone else. So that basically get all my. I actually have two advisors. I put my advisors on the same side as the holders, so there were no advantage for them in any way being advisors. Um, they were paid out of pocket. I have no intention, and I have not used any of the fundraise to reimburse what I spent on the project. This is actually, and I have no intention of doing so. Now, the what I pay for the project is considered as a gift to the community. So, from that transparency aspect, the project from day one has been set up in a way where it can't run. And we actually have got we've got a couple of highly regarded community members that actually did an impromptu Q&A with regarding of how the liquidity is structured, how the funds raised, and how the tokens distributed. We're actually the most fair token distribution ever on HTS.
Okay.
Because everybody paid the same price, regardless of their parcel size.
Of their
so
position.
somebody buying 5% or 0.1%, they pay the exact same price per token.
Okay, understood.
And yeah.
So let me because we only have a limited amount of time because we're interviewing so many people. I want to get all the points across if we can. But no, that's understood. And thank you very much for clarifying that point. But it does then. It makes, and I really want to get past this point, but I really need to understand this. With everything you said, so you're set up to fly in the face of scammers and alike. You're the fairest, most transparent project in existence in terms in the HTS ecosystem, in terms of the way that you've put your own money in, you're not dumping on the community, you've done a lockup. I understand all that. So that begs the question, why wouldn't you want to put your name to this? Is it because of a job you have in Web 2? Is it a security issue? Help people understand why you wouldn't want to put your name to something that is so good and pure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's. I've always maintained that I'm not doing this for fame, and I'm not doing it for money. Now, if I was doing it for fame, definitely I'll put my name on it, and I'm not doing it for money either. I get the question asked like, okay, are you worried that the project will fail? That's why you're not putting your name on it. And as a business owner yourself, I invested about 30,000 of my own money into this project. And when you spend that amount of money in a project, obviously you don't do it to fail. So from that regard, that's pretty much why I don't want to be doxxed. I want to be anonymous because I can see the project being a massive success, and with that, I would have security issue when that's the case. So that's why I want to be anon, purely on the security side of things, not because I want to dodge the project or I'm going to run away with the money, because I can't run away with the money. The money's all locked up, and I've got my own allocation.
But there's a security issue, and I won't press you on that because I'm sure you have your reasons, and that should be a good enough answer. And people can make their decision based on your answers as they see fit. So it's a security issue, and I will accept that. So you mentioned there that you're not doing it for fame and you're not doing it for money. So why are you doing this?
Okay, so I'm doing this one for the community because I'm sick of seeing people get robbed and dumped on by the meme coins of between mid 2023 to the end of 2023.
Yeah.
Every man and his dog was in the game to dump on the next person that come along, and I just got fed up with that. And as I say, I'm not a newbie in Hedera. I've been I've been around since even before Hashpack was started. And to see the community get taken advantage in that way, I just could not stand there and do nothing about it. And yeah, so the reason for staying anon, because I'm actually pointing fingers at some serious group here, and this is that's the biggest reason of all for being anon, is because the amount of attention or the finger pointing that that I'm doing, it's in my best interest not to reveal myself. Yeah, so
I mean, yeah,
I know
absolutely.
it's a
Batman wore a mask. A lot of superheroes who fighting villains wear a mask. So that's fair enough.
yeah.
That's understood. So just looking at the
But yeah,
price. Sorry.
aside from that side of things, now the about the project itself, we're doing something, a few things very interesting with regards to everything is very well planned and scripted. So the character Unlucky itself he's got a very defined character, and I myself is getting a lot of hit from the community because they look at the characters and they're judging the man behind the characters, but they forget that they're interacting with a character that has a very defined script. He's there to slightly antagonize, but he's actually mainly there to not so much to be to antagonize all the other projects, but he's more or less trying to encourage the people that has been dumped on before, the people that's been roughed before, that hey, look, those are just hurdles. It's you can recover from that, and as long as you can recover from that, you're fine. But the project itself, now apart from the very interesting tokenomics and the black paper, the NFT that we're doing is so our next mint will be on the 13th of March. We're onboarding traditional artists onto the network. So at the moment, I'm going through the process of introduce Hedera to him, how to set up wallets and what have you. Now he's a very traditional boomer. He's only just discovered digital art, and yes, and but when I'm talking to him about, the future of art is basically not so much a printed piece of artwork, but having your artwork accessible on people's devices, whether it be on TVs, mobile phone. And he got really taken on to that. And so I go, I tell you what, why don't we try to get you on Web3? You leave all the technical side to us. All you have to do is produce the artwork. We'll put it on the ledger for you, and then you can evaluate how it goes. So that's our next project. So our previous NFT has been leading up to this. Our last one, which was only minted a couple of weeks ago, was for wallpapers. Now you can use the wallpapers as your desktop lock screen. So we're trying to get people to become more familiar with NFT rather than just profile pictures. We're trying to get them to, hey, NFT is a little bit more than pixelated artwork that you use as your profile picture on Twitter and Discord, but you could actually have it on display in its full glory on high resolution screen, digital photo frames, and that kind of thing. Yeah, as you know how LG is going with their NFT TVs. So
Yes.
we took that as inspiration to say, hey, if LG can do that, and they have their own artists to onboard, we as a little guy is probably a little bit more nimble, and we can do things a bit quicker. We don't need the LG's TV, but we have the NFT ecosystem here, as well as the technology in Hedera to do all this.
Yeah. Just on the price at the moment. So I'm just having a look on my other monitor here. So Unlucky token is currently 4016 in sterling, in pound sterling.
Yes.
Do you think that reflects fair value for the price of the token, or do you see it as being something different?
Uh, I see it as it's a measurement of success for the project. Now, the project launched with a predefined market cap, and it was 13,000 US dollars. So I think at the moment it's just a little bit under 300,000 US dollars
Yes.
in terms of market cap. So there are support there from the community that believe in the project, believe in our storyline, and believe in the mission that we're on. So so I think that it represents fair value, and in terms of what we're bringing to the project and what we have in the pipeline of work, there's still potential there for us to take things further.
Okay, and what's the dream then? So you mentioned that taking things further. So what's the dream in 1, 2, 3 years time in terms of
Um,
where will this project be, and what would the market cap look like? In your hopeful sort of when you're dreaming about the project.
well, everybody wants to land on the moon, so that's basically our aim. But
Okay.
so the main thing is we want so this March 13 Mint is a very pivotal and seminal project for us. If it succeeds and the community really support it, we're looking at onboarding more artists onto Hedera. And we're looking at traditional artists here who are oil on canvas, where they have their artwork hanging on the wall. So these are the kind of artists that we want to go and, hey, printing, there's it's you can't go past that. But if you look to the future, why print something when you can actually display it on screen? So in 2 or 3 years' time, especially with the success of March 13 Mint,
Yeah.
we're hoping to onboard at least an artist a month. So
Oh,
Unlucky
wow.
will become more or less like a promoter of real art on Hedera. And then hopefully,
That's a really
we
really
can.
sorry, that's a really really great plan to have, because it keeps it interesting and live, but it's not one a day,
Yes.
one a week. It's not insurmountable. We have to wrap up very shortly, so I just wanted to ask, if people want to learn more about the project, where can they go to do that?
The best place to go is follow us on X, unlucky underscore HTS. From there, you can find our website, unlucky.fun. And the link is also to our Discord, but we are most active on X.
On X. Okay, what I'll do, guys, I'll put, as always with all the other projects, I'll be putting links in the description below, so you don't have to make a record of that if you don't want to. Just click the link in the description below, and it'll take you to all of the different points that Unlucky has just said there. Unlucky, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything? We've got 1 minute left. Is there anything else you want to say to the community while I've got you?
Yep, no, I would just like to give a shout out and thank you to all the supporters, the one that have been there from the beginning and the one that are fighting on our behalf, because there is a lot of pushback in certain circles that have a bigger voice than they appear to be. But yeah, no, thanks for the opportunity to present our case, Max. And I love your work, and I'm just hope to have the chance to come and say a few things to our followers and our supporters.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time, and thank you for your honesty. And I'm sorry if I went a bit hard on you, but for me, it's very important, because I feel that I represent the community, and I want to make
Yep.
sure that people are doing things for the right reason. And it sounds like you are, and I wish you every luck for the future. And I hope that your unlucky project is incredibly lucky for you.
Thanks, Max.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.